Thank you, Rafai. Thank you. It's my pleasure.
We've been taking a lot of loans, but the problem is we don't see what we do with that money. So, SERAP is saying, investigate this 1.5 billion. How do we actually even get the money to trickle down in the first place? And what do you think about this 1.5 billion?
Well, I think the first thing to say is to give kudos to SERAP. One of the things that's happened in this country is that we have state capture. It's rife. And so you find that securities have taken over the place, and those who are supposed to checkmate and cross-check and do due diligence and so on and so forth, they're not living up to their responsibility. And so when that is happening, so we are in a mess. That's why we're in this mess that we are. And so we have to salute civil society organizations. They should be up and doing. At some point in time, they went to sleep. And so not much was happening. And we were just adrift. And nobody could call anybody to account. And impunity was all over the place.
Who's captured the state here?
Those in leadership position.
Who are those in leadership position?
Well, we should know who's in leadership. The president is in leadership position. He's number one person in the country.
So is he the one that's captured the state?
Well, I don't know. I think the structure we have at the center has captured. I wouldn't want to personalize it. I think that they've captured it in the sense that it's obvious. National Assembly it's not doing what it should do. So you have a democracy and you have parts of the structure that should have responsibilities to discharge. And then before us, we'll see it clearly that this responsibility is not being discharged. So we're not doing what we're supposed to do. And there were reasons for putting those checks and balances to make sure that nobody goes to sleep and nobody thinks that they could do whatever they wanted to do and that nobody was going to ask any questions. And when you not throw back, I bring back the fact that even the elections, also there's no accountability. So people vote, and then the votes don't count, and people get to power. They don't feel that they're beholden to the electorate. So they believe that so impunity is rife. So you could do anything.
So are these structures more powerful than the people?
Well, I think that's exactly what it is. We manage. That's why we talked about state capture. So so people are taking over the structures and personalize the structures, and so the structures are not doing what they're supposed to do. Yeah, so okay. Structures and people. The people that operate the structure. So if people are compromised, so they don't do what they're supposed to do. So the structure on its own cannot act.
Okay, so the president, and this will also segue me into another thing I want to ask you. If SERAP is talking about this 1.5 billion, the president also talked recently about another 570 billion, that has been pushed out to the states. And the states are saying, we didn't see any money. It was supposed to be COVID-19 money. These monies are not free. They are loans. We didn't see any money. So who is telling us the truth? Who is telling us a lie? Or is this the state that has captured both the governors and the president? I shouldn't have thought so. I think that we should have, there's a body in this country, institutionally, that should have the responsibility to monitor and ensure that the debts are well procured in the first place and they are utilized for the purposes they are supposed to utilize. We have a Physical Responsibility Act. It says exactly what national debts and foreign debts should be used for. It's clear, they be used for capital projects and for human capacity development. Now, is that being done? I think that's a challenge. And so we go to the states, people are taking money. The states are not supposed to borrow any money except they are cleared by the center. And so, but there's a whole place we are running riots. And when that is the case, it means that people are taking this money, and we know what goes on in this country. So who do we even believe here? Well, I think the likes of them, Governor Sheyi Makinde, that said, we don't know what you're talking about as regards this money. Or the president, because if the president can announce, we've put some money out there for the states, go meet the state governors. In fact, a couple of times in the papers, they've released how much they put forward for the states. And the governors are at loggerheads. And all of these measures that have been taken since the removal of subsidy and floats in the Naira has not trickled down to the people. Yeah, again, I think it's the same thing. You remove the subsidy, then you have a quantum increase in Naira, and then you now go straight back and you allocate it to the states. I think that was the mistake we made in the first place. You remove the subsidy, and then, of course, the Naira itself, the value of the Naira itself, it's a bloated Naira when you put it in real terms. But then that money goes, and then you not expect, you give it to state governors. And what then do you get? You find that once you have FAC allocation, over that period, the rate of exchange, Naira is it's received the hammer, so that money is being exchanged for dollars, to be stored. Exactly, that's the problem we have in this country, and that's why we are. That's why we're not making the sort of progress we should make. What do you say to people that say, okay, SERAP will call for an investigation, we don't see the end of it? Because we never see the end of anything.
Yeah,
you remember off the mic, we never see the end of anything.
Yes.
Some people are already saying that even this investigation with the NMPC, we'll never see the end of it.
Yes.
You know, and so what happens to those people? Or is this part of the state capture?
Well, I think it is, because I think the SERAP has asked the World Bank to investigate. You know, so the World Bank is also, they're also complicit. You know, so there's some money they've given. They shouldn't. You know, they should lend money that you could trace that money.
Do you think the World Bank is part of the state capture?
Yeah, I think so. I think that the World Bank, you know, they've gotten Nigeria to do some of the things, do their obedience, and then as a compensation, you know, so you've asked us to float the Naira, and now we've reversed ourselves. We're now going to do auction, Dutch
Do you think
auction.
the World Bank is a problem?
I think so. The World Bank, IMF, they've been problems in this environment.
How do you
They
think
come
we
with
can do
policies.
How do you think we'll do without them? Can we do without them?
Well, it's going to be tough, because then you belong to it's a global thing. You have so many countries, and the World Bank has the responsibility to make sure that we have harmony, that there's interaction, there's a trade relationship between the states, and so on and so forth, and to try and manage the process so that there's no confusion. So the World Bank should be doing that. But then whenever a country comes into some crisis, balance of payment crisis, the World Bank will come with the same policies. And these policies are not...
So is it the World Bank that pushed on into the balance of payment crisis? Or
No, well, we mismanage.
So why do we blame the World Bank if we are not the ones that called them in? It's our own group that called them in the first place.
Do you know, let me tell you, the SAP, that's why SAP was 1986.
Yeah.
Was resisted, because it was felt that World Bank was bad story. It wasn't good news, to anybody.
But we finally yielded in 86, and that's where we...
So we didn't take that money. We swallowed the pains, swallowed the drugs without getting the benefits. I thought that was silly. So you take the drugs, and then it didn't cure you. And so
SCF, second tier foreign exchange market?
The second tier foreign exchange market, and so on and so forth. And that's why we're in this mess. And then recently we just said we're going to float.
But the interesting part is, in the 70s, 75, 76, just after Yom Kippur, the refrain on the streets was, we had so much money, but how to spend it. Yeah. Then we had the cement amount in 77. We started squandering the money up till the 80s. Then we had to take the World Bank bill. So we called the World Bank. We told the world that we don't know how to manage our resources. So how do we blame the World Bank where we ourselves are the problem?
Yes, we are the problem in the sense that we mismanage our resources. So we have allowed the desk balloon, and then we got ourselves in a situation where Nigeria wasn't attractive. We were not able to attract foreign loans again, because then we were overborrowed, and we were in default. We were not servicing our loans. And then Okonjo-Iweala came, and then got us a reprieve. Got us some write-off, and we paid some $12 billion. And people were up in arms everywhere, but that didn't last long. As soon as Obasanjo left and so on, we went back to business as usual, and then we're now in this mess. And you look at the debt situation today, we're talking of 100-something trillion.
121, yeah.
Yes, it's a lot of money. So within the last 3 months, the debt stock has increased by 20-something trillion. What have we done with it? So I know we have crisis. We have trying to manage the exchange rate that is, like bottomless in terms of its rates. And we're putting some money there, and we're also spending lots of money in balance of payment support. Which really, if you take our Fiscal Responsibility Act, is not where we should be going. We're supposed, like I said earlier on, we're supposed to borrow money and put in capital projects. And put it in projects where we would have a chance of getting some revenues that would help us, to service those debts. But when you take this money, as it were, and put it into consumption, you are compounding the situation.
But haven't we breached out already? At the start of this administration, we said boldly, we're not going to touch ways and means again.
Yes.
But today we're trying to up it now by
10%, from 5% to 10%.
That's 10%. So, but we said we're not going to touch it again, and we're still trying to balance some ways and means and compromises we have hitherto.
Yes.
So are we learning? Do you think we've learned anything?
Well, I think that, like I said earlier on, until you get back accountability to governance, if you don't do that, if you look at what is happening, look at what's happening at the center, you look at the way people have been appointed, you look at the size.
No, the biggest cabinets ever.
Cabinet, yes, 48. They're supposed to have maximum 36, you have 38. And you look at the caliber of people that have been appointed. So if you try to become a governor and you failed, so the next 10 is to become a minister. So the whole process became, a settlement scheme. So people play some political roles and so on and so forth. And they never talked about people who have any expertise, to bring them into governance. And so you don't have that. So you put people, even in areas, that's supposed to be technical in nature. You find characters there that you have some doubts. They did not come with any certified, qualifications that proven. Say this man, this is what he's done before. And so he's going to do this job there. So you find that it's all we're modeling through. And there's confusion all over the place.
He says we should give him more time. That's what people around him are singing. Do you think if you give him 4 years, he'll turn around the economy?
But the crisis we have today, Rufai, it has no slack for time. No, people are starving, people are dying. You see what's happening in Kano. You see, the crisis is much more in the north.
They say food prices are coming down.
Well, that's what I'm told. I just left the radio station, so I hear it's coming down. But we shouldn't be in this crisis. It's one of the things we should focus, is that here, the land area between Niger State and Zamfara is enough for us to go into massive...
They said they're cultivating 10 million hectares.
Now?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, so...
That's what the president said.
Okay, so we should begin to do that, because we cannot get out of this crisis. Look, we are dependent on revenue from petroleum. The future revenue has a mortgage. We've taken loans, we pledge the revenue. One of the crisis problems you have, with getting supplies to Dangote, is that, so you have your IOCs, so it's contractual, we have a share, we have 49, they have 51. And that's contractual, so they have to take it. And we are trying to dictate to them, what they have to do. And it's not done that way, because then, and this is why you go to the oil sector. I find that investors should be concerned. I want to leave this place and for people to look back and say, yes, during your time, you did this. So you got an improvement, you got us a power supply, and so you steady it, and so on and so forth. But instead, we were just doing things, and I don't know. So you go and increase the tariffs, you ban A, and so on. And companies were folding up because they couldn't pay the tariffs. They couldn't, so they were folding up. So how do you run something like that? So you are taking on policies, and those policies, you're not factoring in the fact that at the end of the day, governance is about the welfare and well-being of the people. And so you are not doing that. And then so you are just building policies and you're introducing them, and then you are trying to sound martial, so I've done this, nobody was able to do it. So
do you think those policies are properly thought out?
That's what they weren't. And then you have to situate them. You don't have crisis. You have unemployment. Youth unemployment is over 40%. The misery index in the land is something else. And then so when you want to take policies, you should be saying to yourself, how are people going to take this? How is it going to impact on the people? How is it going to impact on their welfare? So how is that going to give us peace? And so you see what is happening in the land. We are talking about those in the East not being involved. They are used to it, so for them it's nothing new. They're not dependent on government. So, so they are easily entertaining themselves and looking at the rest of us. While we are prompting them to come in and say, Igbos must go.
Let's talk about ethnic nationalism and economy.
Yeah.
All of this, when you check the trend all over the world, always starts because of a downtime in the economy.
Yeah.
What do you think about the one you're hearing now?
Yes, well, it's happening everywhere. It's happening also in Britain. I don't know if you follow that.
Yeah.
So they're saying that Nigerians should go to, black should go, Indians should go. What else happening is that once you have an economy, and the economy is not performing well. And at some point in time, you brought some people because you had jobs. And there are people who went, either they didn't like those jobs, or they just didn't think those jobs were suitable for them. So you brought some people to do these jobs. So they serve the useful purpose. And so you use them. And now, so there's downtime, so there's hardship. Everybody's now feeling the pain. And so the next thing to do is to look for scapegoats. Yeah, so look for scapegoats. And so they said, these people that have come here, they've taken our jobs and so on. And so those jobs were there in the first place, and you didn't take them. And you went out of the way to go and bring them to assist you to do those jobs. And they've come, and they've left their places, and they've come to live in. And it's an unfair situation for you to now turn around and say they must go. But what's happening is that those authorities are not those saying these things. Those are saying is that those who are marginalized, those who are feeling the heat.
So you think the Igbos are being used as scapegoats?
No, the Igbos are not being used as scapegoats. The Igbos situation in Nigeria is a fallout from the last election. So nobody expected that.
What do you mean it's fallout? What do you mean
nobody expected that PCOB was going to do as well as he did.
Was it a crime that he did as well as he did?
Well, it shouldn't be, but it became a crime. I mean, so people were jolted. People were jolted. So
what people were jolted? How did it become a crime that somebody had an aspiration and he did well in the election? He didn't win.
Yes, he didn't win, but they stopped him from winning.
Who stopped him from winning?
Rufai, you asked him.
No, I'm just asking. You said, what do you mean by they stopped him from winning? Who stopped him from winning?
Well, they snatched the thing and ran with it.
Who snatched the thing and ran with it? Who snatched it and ran with it?
I'm sure you know.
I don't know. That's why I'm asking the questions here. Who snatched it and ran with it?
Well, let me leave that before I have some issues myself. So
why are you leaving that? I mean, you said they snatched the thing and they ran with it.
You can see video that says if you want to win it, nobody gives you election on a platter of gold. So you grab it, you snatch it, and you run with it.
Explain to me why it's become a problem that he came third in the elections.
Well, first of all, I think it was clear to those who were in charge that he did much better. I don't have my facts, but he did
much better
than what the position that was assigned to him.
Okay.
Yeah, so he did much better, and they could look ahead and see that what we've seen, there's going to be some problems coming from this direction. And so, it's like trying to see how we can checkmate and make sure we stop This.
So who are these people that say they're trying to checkmate him?
Well, the owners of the land.
Who are the owners of this land? You're laughing. Who are the owners of this land? I mean, I thought the people own the land.
Yeah, that should be the case. But so when we talk of indigenous and so on and so forth, I just watch television and tell indigenous people of Yoruba and so on, they're doing things. I think that we need to be very careful so that we don't go that way, because it would cause a crisis which nobody's going to be able to handle.
So you're saying all of this narrative as regards Igbophobia is related to the last election?
Yes, but it wasn't there before. It's obvious.
No, but there was always a conversation around Igbo presidency and the right of Igbo people and all
but
that.
then nobody thought that was going to come the way it happened. And then I think people underestimated, so what was going to happen. And then when the storm came and they saw it, and they had to be one in Lagos, for crying out loud. So one in Lagos, and nobody ever thought that was possible. And so you can see that, why, today, that's the Igbos must go. So where are they going to? People that live here for so many years, built houses here, contributed to the building of this place. This is a national capital. And then where are they going to? So we better find a way. I think that I learned that the Patriots, asked the president to revisit our constitution. I think we better be doing that, so that we need to restructure this country.
But it's been a conversation we've had for a long while. Restructure. What does restructure mean? Even the APC came in on the restructure mantra and all of that. What does it mean? I mean, this restructure, is it economic restructure? Is it political restructuring? How is it going to function in a system like this?
Essentially, what it means is that you have a federation. You better have a federation. What you have is a unitary system of government in place of federation. So that's
you don't want the center to be too powerful.
Yes, we don't want the center. We want the component units, to be free, to develop at their own pace.
But that also had its own problems.
Well, it might have, but if you look at
wet here in the southwest.
Yeah, if you look at Czechoslovakia, you look at Yugoslavia, if you look at South Sudan, it's the same thing that led to the break of those places.
But it fell apart after Tito left.
Yes, because they were not fully. They were doing what we are doing now. If you go to Canada, so you have Quebec region, you speak French there, you speak English, and you do whatever the way it comes to you. And then you are allowed, you are allowed to run your life the way it should be done, and that's federation. I think in America it's something they have, So the government is so powerful, it takes care of the state and so on and so forth. That's what we should have in Nigeria. But when you now put everything at the center, you have contestation for things at the center.
You give these same governors you complain about corruption every time so much power.
Yeah, but then by the time if we decentralize properly, and we now selection process would also come into
the Niger Delta was even resource control. What have they done with the money?
Well, it was abuse, because whom did you put there to manage it?
So
you put people you want to compensate.
So with this captured system,
yes,
you're saying we should give more powers to the captured states?
Yes, but then if you earn your money, you keep it.
Okay. It's a conversation we'd like to have on. Thank you so